All to the May 6th regular meeting of the Police and Fire Commission. We'll start with roll call. Vice President Boyle-Roloff.
Here.
Commissioner Cheslock.
Here.
Commissioner Cobb. Okay, he's planning to attend, so he should be joining us shortly. Commissioner Dorf.
Here.
All right. Next item is approval of the agenda. You should have all received the agenda last week in the mail. Any changes or corrections? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Cheslock.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Dorf. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any opposed? All right. We approved the agenda. Also within the packets were your minutes from our regular meeting held April 8th. So are there any changes or corrections to those? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Cheslock.
And second.
Seconded by Commissioner Dorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. The minutes are approved. Now we'll go into the informational portion. I would like to welcome our newest commissioner, Ed Dorf, as of Tuesday. Ed was confirmed by the council, so he'll be replacing Warren Wanizak. And on behalf of the council, I'd like to thank Warren for his years of service to the commission and welcome Ed. So Ed, would you like to say a few words and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I do know some of the folks on the screen here. Melissa and I were on the Sex Offender Residency Board together for a while before she moved on as well. I've known Kevin, and I've had some dealings with Jim over the years too, and David, my former kind of ruined the neighborhood and moved out here. I don't know what's wrong with us here, Dave, that you had to leave us. But I was a principal from the Green Bay schools in 2013. I've been principal at 3 different schools there. Prior to coming to Green Bay in 1990, I was the education director at Lincoln Hills in Irma, just north of Wausau. And I'm sure you know Lincoln Hills. It's been in the news a lot, obviously. I've been an educator for most of my career. I do have a degree in criminal justice. I spent 4 years as a town of Rome in Adams County as well. Married to Barbara. We've been married going on 42 years, 2 kids, 3 grandchildren. My grandsons are all here in Green Bay, and 2 of them are in the public school, and 1 soon to be, knock on wood here. He's just 3.5. And I also, for a brief period of time, worked on the Heroin Response Initiative when we had a grant to address the heroin problem in Green Bay. That was in 2013, 2014. 2015, I had to leave the work that I was doing with them when I took a position with the Wisconsin School Safety Coordinators Association. And I just retired from that organization as their executive director at the end of this past March. So I'm looking forward to continuing to serve the community and helping out however I can on this commission. And thank you for that welcome.
Well, welcome. We all look forward to serving with you. And with that, a report from the chiefs. We'll start with Chief Litton.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome, former neighbor, Commissioner Dorf. Good to see you again. Nothing about the neighborhood. Absolutely love living out in Red Smith. It was just time for us to downsize. So that's essentially what caused all that. But nonetheless, really only a couple things to report on today. Very excited about tomorrow, as you all should be aware. We have our recruit graduation tomorrow for the 10 individuals that we brought on some 8 weeks ago. They've been through 8 weeks of grueling, and I'm not kidding that, training in the Green Bay way, so to speak. I had the pleasure of teaching one of the classes. I've had the pleasure of observing multiple of the classes. Got to see them on at work out at the public safety building a couple of weeks ago for a couple of hours. And I can tell you that when I looked in their eyes during that time, they were all exhausted. And so I know that they're looking forward to being graduating tomorrow and then getting, starting their time next Sunday. So just as a reminder, tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock at the public safety building at NWTC, we'll have their live demonstration. We do that every year for the families. We invite the families to come and watch. And of course, all the commissioners are invited as well. We'll have an area designated out there for observation of the class. They'll be doing simulated structure fire and running through a lot of the things that we would do typically on a scene. And then followed by their actual graduation tomorrow evening at 4:30, again at NWTC in a new location. So you should see that on your invitation. And if anybody, there'll be signage out there. We'll have some folks out to help get you to where you need to go. So it's a little bit around the corner from where we used to do the graduation, so that we have a bigger space so that we can practice the social distancing and making sure that we're following the guidelines. So really looking forward to that. The group has been fantastic. It's really a good group. Great job by the commission again in hiring 10 really good people, we believe. And we're looking forward to having them on the floor. The only other thing I have to report is that we're looking at probably between 3 and 5 retirements here coming up over the next, I guess I'll just call it 2 months. I'm not exactly sure. I have an idea from the individuals that are leaving, but I don't have letters in hand. So it just we're filling a big gap that we had with the 10, and we're going to create another gap with the retirements, which of course we won't fill again until next March because of the Recruit Academy and the manpower obligation that it takes to get that done. So with that, I'll end my report and take any questions.
All right. For the welcome, Rashad. Chief, for the skills demonstration, it starts at 10 and people can come and go as they need. But how long will that last if you wanted to stay for the whole session?
I would say it's going to be no longer than an hour, probably 40, 45 minutes probably would be a good bet. But again, you can come, as long as you get in there by, a little bit before 10, the burn will start exactly at 10 o'clock. And then you can leave at any point during that. I'll be there to kind of MC it, but let the families know exactly what's going on out there. But you're welcome to stay for the whole thing or leave if you have to go. So okay. It's fun to watch, and really it's just a demonstration of the skills they've learned over the last 8 weeks.
Great. Any other questions for Chief Litton? Okay, and then we'll turn it over to Chief Runge.
Hello, everybody. The first item I need to talk about, obviously, is the shooting out in Oneida over the weekend. As you know, it was 3 of our officers that were involved in shooting the suspect. DCI is working on this. They did complete all 3 officer interviews yesterday. All indication is it went well. I touched base with 2 of them. One of them I missed in passing, but they seem to be doing pretty well for an incident like this. Just from my perspective and talking to our trainers, looking at the video, they did what we expected them to do. They did what they were trained to do, so I don't anticipate any issue with this. Very difficult situation. We had another near homicide on Tuesday night. Fellow was shot over at the BP on Military, shot in the neck, quite serious. They were concerned if he was going to survive or not for a while. It looks like he's going to need additional surgery on Friday. And what I understand as of today, it doesn't appear to be life-threatening any longer. However, he probably will have lifelong issues and disabilities because of it. I think detectives did or are about to put out the attempt to locate with the media for the shooter. They have 2 suspects in custody, but the actual shooter is still on the run, a 25-year-old man. So he's got connections in Green Bay, Appleton, all the way down to Chicago. So it's a matter of time, but I believe there'll be a media blast with his picture today. New officers. I just signed two backgrounds today that look okay, look good. So you should get those today. Hopefully they'll do okay. Lieutenant Booth thinks everything goes right. We'll swear in 3 yet this month. So that should help. Jody also started his new, they're doing, I think it's Facebook blast to departments around the country, other departments that may not have the political community support that we have. And he indicates he's gotten a a lot of interest right away. So we may get some luck with some laterals, with any luck. I had one guy come in yesterday and give me his retirement announcement. It was unexpected. Obviously, he has enough time in to retire, but so it was Rod Reitz, one of our canine handlers. He'll be done in 2 weeks. So, go back to the United thing. We're going to try to get those 3 officers back in the PD as soon as we can, as soon as they feel comfortable in some sort of admin capacity. Obviously, they won't go on the road until they're all cleared and everything, but we're hopeful and all that. We're going through our whole process with mental health and everything, and hopefully they do well. So I'll keep you updated on that. And first week for me, almost over. It's gone pretty good. The days go really fast. I can't believe it's quitting time every day. Could use more hours in a day, but so far so good. I'm enjoying it. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to remind the commissioners that we swore Jim in Monday morning, and so it's been a busy week and a full week. So
Yeah.
welcome and thanks for hitting the ground running like you have.
Yep. No, I won't have it any other way. Great people to work with.
Good. Any questions for Chief Runge? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you both. The next item is election of officers. So we have officer elections every 2 years, and we're due to him again today. I'm currently president, and Commissioner Boyle-Roloff is vice president. So I'll open the floor for nominations. I would be happy to continue to serve as president if you so desire, but if you want to go in a different direction, that's fine too. So at this point, we'll open the floor for nominations for president.
Rod, does someone need to nominate you?
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Rod.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have one nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations? Going once. Are there any other nominations? Going twice. Are there any other nominations? Okay, we'll call the nominations closed. All those in favor of me continuing as president signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? All right. Thank you for the continued confidence. I will try to meet your expectations. And now for vice president. There are nominations for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Marion if she's interested in being the vice chair again.
I'm willing to serve. Rod makes it quite not stressful at all.
So seconded.
All right. We have a nomination as a second for Marion for vice president. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Going twice? Any other nominations? 3 times. All right. Then all those in favor of Marion continuing as vice president signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? No. Well, Marion, I'll share the bad news with you. Just kidding. Next agenda item is the consideration with possible action on the budget status report and the budget spreadsheet. It looks like we're overspent in both categories, all dealing with recruiting. So we had all of the physicals on the fire side, which took us to a bit over 4,000. And on the police side, we had the chief ads and then tests and assessments for the patrol officer candidates. So all normal commission activities, but we will have to make an adjustment to the budgets to make sure that we have sufficient money to cover our needs. Are there any questions on those? You received the individual spending and analysis in your packet. I'll entertain a motion to receive those and place on file.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Cheslock. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dorf. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any opposed? All right, we've received those and placed them on file. Next item is consideration with possible action on the monthly bills. And again, all the bills in the packet were relative to physicals, psych evaluations, and other hiring materials. So are there any questions? And if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve payment.
Move to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Dorf. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Boyle-Roloff. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, we will pay the bills. Next item was discussion regarding the public input for the selection of the new police chief. And Jen, can I take over screen sharing?
I think we actually missed one item, Rod.
Oh, which one was that?
The rehire policy for police officers. Item number 4.
Great, thank you. Okay, also in your packet was the change to the rehire policy, which in summary is extending the period of time that a person can be rehired to the police department from with no change in their status, or without starting over in essence, from 6 months to 1 year. And the primary reason for that is because of the difficulty in hiring new police officers and the shortage of candidates. We have some officers that are interested in coming back, and that year's window will make it much easier to do that. So any other comments from folks on the PD that concerning that change?
No, excuse me. We're just asking for the commission's approval. It's just really one of the steps and one of the things we're doing to try to increase employee morale, trying to get people that came back, just want to check what the other side looked like and get them to come back and have a good incentive. Worked very closely with the Green Bay Police Professional Association to come up with this, to really present this to you today. So really appreciate your time taking this into consideration.
All right. Any other questions, comments concerning the change? Now, I guess just one question that I just thought of. This only applies to police, right? Not fire?
That is correct.
So if we do want to if we had a recommendation for a similar change to fire, we would have to separately rule on that. Okay. So with that, if there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Dorf, seconded by Commissioner Cheslock. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? None opposed. So that was passed unanimously. All right, now we have the public input for the selection of the police chief. So Jen, if I can share the screen. So to bring you back up to speed, we discussed different organizations that we felt might want to have input. We felt different locations. Rashad did some work kind of summarizing those and putting those together. And one of the things that you'd like to do today is get an idea from the commissioners of how many of these sessions you think are appropriate, lengths of time, and then from that, he would go back and put together a plan of how best to do that. So I wanted to, if I can share the screen to bring that. So if you can see that, these were the locations, and both locations and populations that he discussed. So I would open the floor now to discussions relative to how many sessions you think would be appropriate, and also other items like number of commissioners. Do we want all 5 commissioners to be at every session? Is there a minimum number of commissioners? And then the other points that Rashad had made earlier was that since everyone doesn't work a day shift schedule, we want to also make sure that we have these sessions available in the mornings, in the afternoons, in the evenings, so that anybody that wants to has a process to provide their input.
And I offer that to step up and be present at those times that work outside of 9 to 5.
I can do the same.
I had a question, maybe for you, Rod, if you remember how this process went before. Were there listening sessions, and do you remember how many and if that was helpful or not? I'm sure we want to do listening sessions, but just trying to think of the amount.
There were not. We actually did a survey. And so what I did to cover as well, do you see a side-by-side page on your screen now?
No.
Oh,
I do not.
okay, I'll put new share. Let's see. Now does it show up?
Yep.
Okay, now you have it. The questions you see on the right were questions that I slightly modified that we used for a paper survey that we sent out when we hired Chief Smith. And so that recreates that. And over on the left side is a draft of a script subject to your review and modifications and proposals that we would use to start that process. And the other thing that Rashad and I discussed was for those people that don't feel comfortable talking in groups or maybe cannot make one of the sessions, we should have multiple opportunities for people to provide input. So as a starting point to go from, I'm suggesting email, US mail, a place for people to drop off materials. So you see that says City Hall and Police Station. That's because that would be a choice as to where, and then another opportunity to leave a phone message and with a callback number and have a commissioner return their call. I'll also add that I've had people contact me already directly that I've had discussions with, and that information I will bring in when we do our review of the individual candidates during the closed session reviews. So I'd offer this to take a look at. We'll get this to you in hard copy to look at to provide your input as to what you think should be changed or how you would like to see this, and then we'll work with HR around how to best set those up. So a long answer to your question, Marion, but I think it fit very well in what we did in the past. So we didn't do face-to-face listening sessions, and I believe at our past meeting when we first discussed this, we talked about the benefit of having back and forth dialogue. So this is the best of both worlds. It provides those that want to dialogue with us, and for those that would want to remain anonymous or don't like speaking in groups, they still have a chance to input as well.
Sounds great. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm thinking like 3 to 5. I don't know, for listening sessions.
Yeah, I was going to throw out a number of 5 as a starting point. So what are some other folks' thoughts?
I think that sounds reasonable. 3 to 5. It's a big decision for the community. One thing that comes to mind, and I don't know what the timeline is that we'd be looking at with this, but would be to think about including a Zoom session, or maybe a couple of Zoom sessions for folks that want to be able to have that interaction, but yet don't want to go out yet. Which I think there's still quite a few people who are not comfortable going out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, excellent point.
And I think and even with the Zooms, I don't know what the turnout would be, but you might want 2 of those just so you don't have like hundreds on one.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that at least 2 Zoom sessions would work, simply because there are people who just can't make it from work at a certain time, or they need to go home directly after work, or what have you. They have childcare issues or don't drive.
Any other thoughts or discussions? Rashad, from the work that you've done in looking at these, do you think 5 in person and 2 Zooms would be sufficient to enable you to fit everything in?
Yeah, I was just kind of sitting here thinking about, I think 3 to 5 in person and then 2 via Zoom, like someone said, is important.
Okay, so the next steps, we'll get these out to everyone so you can add your comments, and if you think other questions would be appropriate, or if we should drop some of these off. But this would be a starting point, and for Melanie and Jen, if you could think about how we might set up a place to leave a phone message and provide a call back, and we'll need to work out the details of doing something like that. As long as the commission's in favor of doing something like that, where people can have a chance if they want to have a direct phone conversation with one of the commissioners.
One other thing that comes to mind, Rod, and I think back to when we did a number of community sessions when I was on the school board, we had a facilitator lead those discussions. Actually, it was somebody from CISA that came in and led them. Now, it may be that somebody on the commission is comfortable with leading that, but I mean that's a thought. Having a consistent facilitator for all the sessions.
Yeah, Commissioner Dorf, I think that's a great idea. I've been talking about this with people in other communities, and that was something that they highly suggested as well. Is seeing if we could find someone to facilitate, someone with the skills and abilities, and then it just positions us to actually be there actively listening as opposed to trying to listen and facilitate discussion.
Yeah, it seemed to work out well that way when we did it when I was on the school board. We had the superintendent of the CISA 7 come in and do that. I mean, there may be somebody at either at GB or at NWTC who might be able to tap on the shoulder to consider that.
And the other thing we'll need to do, if there are 3 or more commissioners there, it'll have to be properly noticed as an open meeting, which is not a problem because we want people to know that it's going on. But we'll need to get some guidance, the legal department, as far as any minutes needing to be taken or anything like that, so that we do the proper documentation we do to meet the intent of the open meetings laws. So that'll just be a follow-up step we'll need to do. And I think the other thing I wanted to point out is oftentimes some people may see this as an avenue to work a specific issue that they have that doesn't apply to the search for the chief. And we'll just have to make it clear that we have a forum to do that, and we want people to feel comfortable bringing that up, but it's a separate process, and then we can link up with that person after the session and know the proper process to do that. Any other comments?
Is this something that we want? It's preferable to have every commissioner at every one of these. I guess that would come to scheduling or just whatever we can make and do.
Marianne, I think maybe just to the best of people's abilities, because it'll be really hard to, but with all of the things that we all do, I think it'll be next to impossible to find 7 potential times, if we go with 5 sessions in person, to find 5 times that all of us can actually be available. I mean, if it happens to work out, then I think that would be lovely.
I think what we can assure is that the input that's gathered at each of the sessions is going to be available and will be read and reviewed by every member, even if they can't make it. So, it'll be taken care of that way.
And if we have someone doing minutes, that would be great. If we don't, we'll have to make sure notes are shared, but I'm just,
Well, since are we going to record each one of these sessions? So that if, for example, if one of us can't attend, maybe we can participate via Zoom or review it at some other time?
That is an option. My first reaction is there may be some community members that would prefer not to be recorded. So that would be my only issue, is that would that cause people to be less likely to speak if they thought they were being recorded, as opposed to a more intimate session with the commissioners there listening directly.
Well, I understand that, but if they are camera shy, so to speak, they could always fill out one of these forms and submit their issues or their concerns that way.
That's true. And we could also just audio record the session.
Mm-hmm.
So if people are concerned about identification, then we'll just have the voice.
Well, not to belabor again what was done on the school board. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but you've got a great list of questions. There are 6 questions, and a way to approach it so that you're getting input or giving everyone a chance to provide input. Suppose you do a session and you've got 100 people. Well, you break into a given number of groups and you have a recorder with each group to go through and have everyone given an opportunity to give input to each one of those questions, and then you collect that and you gather that and reproduce that for the commission. So that way everyone has a chance to provide their input. They don't necessarily have to put their name to it. They certainly can, but the opportunity is there, and you do it in a smaller group fashion, and then all of those responses come back to the Police and Fire Commission to review. Then you've got a written record of what people are saying, and I think it's really important that way.
Yes.
Rather than trying to just listen to it and make sense of it.
Commissioner Dorf, I like the suggestion. I worry about, or not worry, it's the wrong word. I wonder about the logistics of that. I would think, and I'm not proposing this as a trying to compare the importance of the two situations, but I have a funny feeling that the turnout for these might be higher than the turnout for the school board. Mm-hmm. So how would we go about coordinating, like the registration of people in advance to break them into groups? Again, I don't think it's a bad idea. That's just something that came to mind initially when you proposed it.
Well, as a process going forward, so we'll get this information in folks' hands. Rashad will work on a proposal for locations and that will best meet groups, and then we can have people provide input and come up with a decision on how best to handle the individual sessions.
And Rod, will this, once we come up with a finalized form, will that be available on Facebook, the department's Facebook page?
Yeah, I think that would be a good method. Facebook, city website, we can look at multiple opportunities to advertise it. One of the other things that Rashad did in his work was looked at organizations that would help spread the word. So that's in the document that you looked at earlier that you'll receive post meeting. And Kevin, you had your hand up.
Yeah, if I could just make a suggestion, I know a lot of police officers want to have input on the next chief. So do one of the 5 or the Zoom, could we make that available to the officers of the department?
Well, absolutely. That'd be available to all of them. Or if we even wanted to set up something separately for the police officers, we could do that as well.
Yeah, and I've had some people contact me, and Commissioner, we've deferred to you and given them your information so that they could provide input. So we can publicize it in the PD for the internal staff as well.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome if, I guess I don't have an opinion either way, but I think it says something to the community if police officers are engaging in the sessions as they're set up in the community. We could still provide them an opportunity to weigh in if they couldn't make it. but it provides another, Kevin, you and I talk about this. We've talked about this before, and I have with Chief Smith as well. You and him show up to the public stuff. And there are a couple other officers that show up, but any opportunity that officers can be present amongst the community for like regular everyday stuff, I think is a value. And so I just think about the power of officers showing up to these community sessions to participate as community members, I think is a potentially really powerful optical thing for our community. That's just some thought, but I'm not against setting something up specifically for police officers to contribute.
No, I agree, and I'll do my best to get officers so that they know about it and make sure that they have that option available if they choose to use it.
Okay, so we'll get this material out to folks. You can comment on it, provide suggestions. We'll get that to Rashad as well. So as you look at setting these up, then you can come back to the commissioners and we can look at some potential dates and times for that. Sound like a plan?
Yeah, and if anybody has any opinions on the locations, please weigh in on those as well.
And that will be sent out as well.
Yes, correct. And I want to thank Rashad for his willingness to put this together, because it's quite a jigsaw puzzle when you look at the size of our community and the diverse nature of the community, and try to put these together in a way that allows everyone that wants to be able to provide input in the manner that they choose as well. So thank you, Rashad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any more on this? If not, we will go on to agenda item 6, review of police chief applications. The commission may convene in closed session pursuant to sections 19.85, paragraph 1, sub C and F, Wisconsin statutes, to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility. The commission may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to sections 19.85, paragraph 2, Wisconsin statutes, to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Boyle-Roloff. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Commissioner Cheslock. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any opposed? All right, we're in closed session, and we'll wait until Jen gives us the high sign. I'll stop the screen share, and
if you could
when
switch
Jen
me back
lets us
to
know
host.
that we're clear, we'll...
Can you switch me back to host, Rod, and then I can
let's
place
see.
some individuals in the waiting room here? And then I just need to move to a different room and I'll be back.
All right, thank you. While in closed session, we did a initial review of the applications and the status of the commissioners reviewing those. We will continue to do that between now and next Wednesday, at which time we'll have that completed, and then the HR department will begin setting up Zoom interviews for those candidates that remain in the process. Next item is the date of the next meeting. Our normal timing would be June 3rd. Obviously, with the hiring going on, there will be probably sessions meeting in between that. So I would say just hang out, and HR will contact us on meeting dates between now and then. There are no public hearings. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
One question before
Yes, sir.
we adjourn, and it's a question actually for Chief Commander Wark. I know that it's probably premature, but just out of curiosity, has the department thought about when we might start the Citizens Academy up again?
Kevin may be able to answer that. In my time here, there's not been any discussion on that. I certainly can bring it up if it hasn't been. I'm a big fan of it, a proponent of it. Actually, I ran it for several years. So I certainly can get the ball rolling.
We actually had discussions on that this week. Applications will be available with the anticipation of starting it in August. and going
August,
into,
okay.
yep, August. And then September and October with the graduation at the end of October. We have to start it coincides with the marine season because we have the marine boats and we take the applicants out on the boats, and we got to get it before it gets too cold.
For the commissioners that aren't familiar with this, prior to COVID, so I don't think you ran one last year, but the police department ran an annual academy, which was a 3 to 4 hour sessions once a week for, I think, a couple months. So you got to look at the various aspects of policing and experience, not just see them, but experience them. Very, very informative sessions, very valuable. So I would encourage you to take advantage of attending one of those. If the timing doesn't work out this year, put it on your calendars for next year.
And Jim, how many people can you accommodate in a class for that?
We usually go around 24.
24?
Is a good number.
That sounds good.
And in my time, it's been very well received by the attendees. It's worth doing.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Cobb, seconded by Commissioner Dorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank